Atlassian for having us here. And like Andrea mentioned, I'm going to talk about comments and this new feature I worked on that we just rolled out and why we think it's so great. So a little bit about myself. Like she said, I'm a software engineer at LaunchDarkly, and we're always looking for great people. If you know anyone that wants to work on developer tools and wants to work in Oakland, come talk to me. All right, so for those of you that don't know, this is flipping the table. I don't know if that's clear to everyone. So what happened last week was I received a notification in our changelog Slack channel that someone had turned on the fire hose flag for one of our customers that has a bunch of those events that Aaron was mentioning in the dev console. So what this means is basically we're taking all those events to a third party, and that can cost us a lot of money and be a big problem. But what was great was the person who did this wrote a comment. So, hey, I turned on this flag to send all this data because I'm trying to troubleshoot something. And this immediately gives us context into what's going on. So I know who turned on the flag, why they turned on the flag, importantly. And we were able to immediately respond to him and be like, hey, wait, don't do that. That's a lot of data. And he was able to immediately turn it off. So, okay, I'm done troubleshooting. Great. So this happened within 5 seconds. You can kind of see the log there. He could have provided a little more context here, like, hey, I collected over 30,000 events, got the data I needed, but that's kind of besides the point. What was great about this was it's immediately giving us some context into what's happening within our application, which is super useful for collaboration. So I'm a big climber. There's going to be some climbing pictures coming through. But I think it just lends more into working as a team. Like you have somebody lead climbing and you're really trusting that person that's belaying you. And this comes with visibility. So why did he turn on that feature flag? All right, he's troubleshooting something. So immediately know what's happening. And we also use compliments. It's another way of keeping a good paper trail to understand why we've made all the different decisions to get to where we want to go. And like in this example, see all the different routes that could be taken and why we decided to take a certain route to get there. So another thing we have is the audit log. And within the audit log, so all of these changes are also captured in our changelog channel in Slack, but we also have this audit log to see everything that's been going on in our application. So, for example, this guy says, flip it. Not that useful of a comment. It's like if I'm belaying somebody and they're saying pull, pull, pull or something, these aren't really useful commands, you know. We kind of have this understanding like take means, hey, pull up the slack. And slack means give me more slack so I can clip my rope or something. So what might be a better comment is initial launch. So this is Alexi, he's our front-end team lead. And so he's turning on this new feature, rolling it out to everybody. And he's like, hey, this is our initial launch. I'm like, great. You're probably the person in charge of this feature. I know that we're initially rolling this out. If anything goes wrong or I have any comments, I know to talk to you most likely. And that's not to say that he's not delegating this to other people, because there's a lot of people that worked on it, but with that responsibility, like if something happens with that flag, I know who to talk to. And maybe if he wasn't the one even working on it, he'll know who to point me to in the right direction. And that is extremely useful when you're working on a big team of people. So to get back to this new feature we rolled out that I worked on that we're so excited about, is comments are the context to understand what's been going on in your application. So if I'm looking back for the extreme example is that fire hose flag, I can understand like, why the heck did we turn on this flag? Oh, he was troubleshooting something, and immediately afterwards, oh, this is done, like resolved. I don't have to think about this anymore. You know, I immediately know what was the problem and what was happening. And an easier example is, hey, I'm rolling out this new feature, we're so excited about it. Great. And this is kind of like, comments can kind of be like a climbing route, where you have an understanding, if you just show up to the climbing wall, like, where should I go? You see all these bolts, and you can kind of get like a picture of where you're trying to go. Versus like if you're already on a team and you're with everybody climbing, maybe you have a clear understanding of where to go, but if someone's coming onto your team, you get a lot more context of what the state of the world is and maybe where you should go. So another example I wanted to bring up is we do A/B testing. And oftentimes, if you have some hypothesis of how you think your test might go, and that turns out to be really wrong, you're like, wait, what happened, what changed? So I can go back into my audit log and see if somebody played with the targeting rules, like maybe we were changing our testing purposes because of something, and that can all be documented right there. So if I think the testing isn't going how it should have gone, I can immediately see why that happened, who made those changes, so I can talk to them and be like, hey, I don't think we were supposed to do that, or maybe that's what we were supposed to do, etc. And this also depends on what environment you're in. So we use LaunchDarkly internally, and when I'm in my dev environment, I'm basically never putting comments in any flag updates I'm doing, because probably debugging locally, just turning things on and off, messing around, doesn't matter. In staging, still not really writing comments. We have this change log for staging, but still not as much. Whereas in production, every change we make is pretty clearly documented why we're making changes. Besides that flip it comment, but we just rolled this out, so we're still kind of developing our best practices on how to use this new functionality. And that's it. I guess we'll do comments later.